Hello, this is Doctor Abdus, and today we will discuss why everyone should wear a mask publicly and how cotton masks are all you need in this coronavirus pandemic to prevent airborne infections, along with scientific explanations and an easy to understand way. Now, this novel coronavirus is called SARS coronavirus 2 or COVID-19. Its size ranges from 0.06 microns to 0.2 micron. The average size being 0.125 micron or around 100 nanometers or 10,000th of a millimeter, and that is really very small. So how are surgical and cotton or fabric masks, which have comparatively much larger pores compared to N95 masks, helpful in stopping their spread? Let's find out. Now, before we get into the effectiveness of masks in preventing coronavirus, first let's deal with some basics of the spread of this infection. Point number 1. Generally, you do not get infected just because one virus enters your body, because we have a pretty great immune system. Infection depends on the viral load, which is the total number of viruses present in a sample. Now, greater the number of viruses entering your system, greater is your chance of catching this disease. Point number 2. The coronaviruses cannot independently travel from one person to another. It's not like a few isolated viruses leave your body on their own and travel in air to infect other people. Viruses always need to be surrounded by a medium. And fortunately, viruses usually don't survive on their own for very long without being surrounded by a medium, even if they do get isolated. An exposed coronavirus will stay alive in the air for a few hours and on a surface from a few hours to a few days, depending on the kind of surface. So how do they spread via air? Well, these viruses spread via respiratory droplets, which are small droplets of fluid which carry the viruses. These are ejected out of your lungs, nose and mouth while coughing, sneezing, or even just talking. During these activities, we expel a lot of droplets of variable sizes. Now, these sizes can be divided into two groups. First, aerosols. These are very small microscopic droplets which are less than 10 micron. And second are larger droplets, which are greater than 10 micron and can go up to a millimeter or even larger. So how far can these droplets travel after release? Well, according to scientific studies and research papers, such as one by Dr. Lydia and the other by Dr. Z, links for which are given in the description, the smaller aerosols ejected can't travel much further immediately because of their low mass. They rather stay around the source and diffuse very slowly with air currents. The larger droplets spread farther away from the source, greater the size, farther they are ejected immediately. Talking, especially loudly, can spread the droplets to 2 meters or 6 feet. Coughing can spread them up to 6 meters or 19 feet. And sneezing can spread them even further with speed up to 50 meters per second to about 8 meters or 26 feet. Now, these distances are well over the 6 feet social distancing norm which is being followed, and that is why everyone needs to wear a mask as well. So now, let's talk about protecting yourself with masks and how useful are they against these droplets and viruses. Researchers Marianne van der Sande et al. Compared 3 masks, namely homemade single-layered cotton tea-cloth mask, a 3-ply surgical mask, and N95 mask in their ability to stop particles of size 0.2 to 1 micron. And the results that they got showed that N95 mask filtered 99% of the particles, a 3-ply surgical mask filtered 75% of the particles, and a single-layered cotton tea-cloth mask filtered 67% of the particles. Another study was performed by researchers at Edinburgh, link for which is given in the description. They tested various masks and they measured particles as small as 0.007 micron. For the reference, COVID-19 is just 0.1 to 5 micron in average size. The results they got showed that N95 blocked 97% of the particles, surgical mask blocked 80% of the particles, and various multi-layered fabric blocked 85% of the particles. Now, interestingly, even a single-layered cotton handkerchief provided 28% of filtration for these particles, which included nanoparticles which are even smaller than the viruses. As you can see from this data, that cotton masks are very efficient in filtering air, and if you use a multi-layered cotton mask or just wrap folded handkerchief or scarf, it will be highly effective in preventing these droplet infections. Their effectiveness ranges from 65 to 85% depending on the number of layers and fabrics used. You might still feel that these aren't as effective as the N95 masks, which provide up to 99% protection. And I will explain to you why just cotton masks are really more than enough for your daily life. According to a research paper published in the Official Journal of Society of Risk Analysis, link for which is given in the description, the major route of such airborne infections is the spray of cough droplets onto the facial membranes. That is direct immediate infection by large droplets, and it is followed by infections by smaller droplets. Finally, very small droplets and aerosols were the least sources of infections. The reason being that aerosols have much smaller viral load and they evaporate much faster, thus killing the isolated viruses. Comparatively, larger respiratory droplets have much higher viral load, making it easier to infect a person, and they evaporate much slower, keeping the viruses effective for a much longer duration. In our daily life, the general population hardly encounters aerosols and very small droplets because they disperse and evaporate before coming in contact with another person. And they usually don't have enough viral load to cause infection, unless you are severely immunocompromised. But the healthcare workers, especially in hospitals, are continuously in contact with multiple infected patients. So they are always surrounded by aerosols, and they might be breathing in virus-laden aerosols continuously throughout the day and slowly and constantly increasing the virus load inside their system. Therefore, they need N95 masks to avoid this. So our concern as a general population should only be to protect ourselves from the larger droplets, which is very easy to do and will give exponential safety compared to doing nothing. The previous experiments were performed using nanoparticles, and the multi-layered cotton, fabric and surgical masks still performed extremely well with up to 85% filtration. Now, in practical application, if we need protection just against the larger droplets, their efficacy will increase a lot more, and these masks will provide protection even more than 95%. And that is how multi-layered cotton masks are more than enough to fight the airborne spread of coronaviruses. This brings us to the end of the video and the final message. Cover your face with anything you can manage before going out. Preferably use multi-layered cloth or masks to cover your face and help in curbing this pandemic. Or you can do the best thing, that is, stay home and stay safe.